good Lord. And we're in, y'all. Welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name is Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding, and I kind of feel like I maybe shouldn't be using my real name.
I'm Roger Norquist, and that is both my real name and my pseudonym.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by the Monstroco Mood Ring of Force. Cast powerful blasts from this stunning aluminum and onyx ring based on your current mood. Sad? Cone of Darkness. Excited? Telekinetic Blast. Happy for an ex from college who's doing great things in life, but it's a little bittersweet because you find yourself missing them and wondering if you'd stuck together, if you might be doing those things together. Straight Up Lava. Mood Ring of Force by Monstroco. What the fuck?
I like that. That seems like it's useful.
Yeah, I'm glad that Monstroco finally created an item that is tied to my subconscious.
Yeah, for sure. If you get hungry, it'll shoot a ray that turns people into sandwiches. Which is pretty interesting.
That's some good. What is that? Transmutation abilities?
Sure.
Transfigurative? Yes.
Well, yeah. Or if you're just a complete psycho and believe that any person is a sandwich.
I am.
This is true. I mean, every person has. It's like astrology. Everybody has like an astral sandwich that represents their being, their soul and being. Like me, tuna sandwich, but with peanut butter. It's not great, but it's complex, and you know. You take a bite and you're like, I think that's enough. I think that's enough for me.
Yeah, I think I've long just gone Mike's way. That's my Lord and Savior.
Boy, love Mike's way. I love that that's even a thing that they let you do.
And they shouldn't. It should be illegal if you get the real Mike's way off of the secret menu.
Oh yeah.
Now
you think animal style is fucking crazy?
Yeah.
Now
it just has a line of blow on it down the middle of the sandwich.
I don't know what Mike's way is.
Mike's way,
which I'm not asking right now. This is more so for lettuce, the ring.
Oil and vinegar with all of the spices on it, just the way Mike likes it.
Using the skills, can I make that accurately?
Yeah, probably.
All right, I'm buying 6 rings, 1 for each finger, because the other 4 are taken with another ring that I'm getting in the mail.
They are counting hunger as an emotion, which is a little strange, but you know,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, there's a certain
of all the emotions that I experience most often.
There's a certain kind of craven madness that takes hold when you're hungry. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You either have to eat a Snickers or you turn into Danny DeVito.
Yeah, exactly. You're so hungry you could eat a horse.
Maybe 2 horses. I'm not opposed to eating a horse.
I wouldn't.
If we're gonna be honest on this and just scare away all the listeners at the beginning, I saw Anthony Bourdain in Sicily eating horse, and I was like, it doesn't look bad.
You know what? It does seem fine.
I don't understand why, but it's weird to me. It's just a cultural thing. I get it, but when
Horses
I look at horse,
are beautiful, smart creatures that I should not be interested in eating. Yeah, horse definitely friend.
Horse is friend like dog is friend. But then again, sometimes I see cows on like the Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, oh, cow is friend.
Cow is friend. Chicken's also friend, man. There's a lot of meat.
Chicken is idiot.
Chicken is enemy.
No. Chicken is enemy. Enemy chicken.
Hey, I will say horses have those same black shark eyes, like a doll's eyes.
Yeah.
Anything make it, I think, okay to sometimes kill a horse.
What was it? The USS Philadelphia, where all those sailors got stranded in the water and systematically picked off by horses.
You'll hear it on one of our true crime episodes.
Would you guys mind if I smoke from the speaking skull first?
Smoke from the speaking skull. I'm gonna load it up with some primo sage
from the speaking skull. I'm gonna do a segment that I've wanted to do for a while. I want to talk to you guys about. We've talked about it before. The Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches. Nate did a legendary segment.
Oh yeah, no, I've got a copy of that book around here somewhere.
That's the thing. So I know about it. I know the history of the book itself, but I never really knew what was going on inside of it. So I want to talk to you guys about some quotes and some surprising beliefs.
It definitely gets a lot crazier than expected.
It's so fucking crazy, dude. I thought it was going to be like, I don't know. I don't really know what I expected, but I didn't expect what I got. I can tell you that much.
And to be honest, I've always just said yes and nodded along with you because what you're saying was scary. So I don't know at all anything.
Yes, this is good podcast shit. Yes. So for those of you who don't know, a little refresher. This is from the Wikipedia of the Malleus Maleficarum. The Malleus Maleficarum, usually translated as the Hammer of Witches, which you would think it's a sweet D&D item. That you get, and it will be when I make a campaign about this, but it is also a treatise purporting to be about witchcraft. It was written by the German Catholic clergyman Heinrich Kramer. And
honestly, German Catholic cleric already should have been several huge red flags.
Boy, that one just kept getting worse, huh? First published in the German city of Speyer in 1486. Some describe it as a compendium of literature and demonology of the 15th century. Kramer blamed women for his own lust and presented his views as the church's position, which is really kind of the through line of the Malleus Maleficarum is, man, women are bad with their sexy bods. And
it is
the way I lust after them. What a bunch of bitches.
Pretty pure misogyny.
It's pretty topsy-turvy misogyny. He seems like a pretty tortured boner-having fella. And, if only they would have put in the Bible that it's okay to pop one off every once in a while. Just go into your weird fucking outdoor turlet with a moon on the door and look at an engraving of a busty woman and just take care of that evil little rod, my dude. You don't have to write a whole book about it.
It's a lot of energy coming off here. Like he was really hard most of the time, it sounds like. Just frustratingly so. Sweaty
and fucking horny and just having a real hard time. So to that note, this is from historycollection.com. This is their article, 12 Shocking Beliefs from the Malleus Maleficarum, the Witchfinder's Guidebook. This is one of the weirder ones that I came across that very much reflects this weird, sweaty little horny, frustrated fucker. Penises as pets.
How so?
Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
One specific anecdote of Kramer's is so absurd as to merit its own category. Witches stealing penises and keeping them as pets.
Right.
Or,
well, because you know how you see people walking cocks around all the time at the park.
I've seen that. I've been getting to see it more than I have.
No penises allowed without leash. Or there's like a guy carrying a dick around on one of those like hawk mitts.
He's getting on a plane. He's complaining that it's actually his emotional support penis.
Yeah, it's got one of those little leather hoods on. He can take it off and it'll bring him back a lizard or something.
If I remove the hood, it will kill.
It has to kill.
They would take them and keep them as pets, or sometimes they would hide your dick in a bird's nest for some reason.
Crafty. Last place I would look.
Yeah. Kramer's logic within the credulous text of the Catholic 15th century is sound. He says, quote, "It was a greater thing to turn Lot's wife into a pillar of salt than it is to take away the male organ." Kramer also has several tales of penis stealing, and were that not sufficient, expert eyewitness testimony from clergymen to back up his claims. The most notorious account is of witches making a nest of penises up a tree. Sometimes witches collect, this is a quote, sometimes witches collect male organs in great numbers, as many as 20 or 30 members together, just rattling around.
That's enough for a nest, though.
Bag full of dicks.
Fear of castration used to be such a huge deal.
Sure. This guy couldn't stop thinking about that old wang. What's going to happen to it? What's going to happen to me? They take 20 or 30 members together and put them in a bird's nest or shut them up in a box where they move themselves like living members. First of all, your dick shouldn't be moving around. It shouldn't be squirming around down there.
If it does move, it should still be attached to you.
They move themselves like living members and eat oats and corn.
I kind of want to do a new version of Reanimator that's nothing but Herbert West making oat-eating dicks.
Raising a dick in a box and sprinkling corn and oats for them to pack up like chickens. As seen by many, and as a matter of common report, Malleus Part 2, Question 1, Chapter 7. Incredibly, Kramer is most concerned with whether the removal and reappearance of penises up a tree is a physical phenomenon or illusion. In case you were wondering, it is an illusion, which can be ascribed to the devil's expertise in deceit and exploiting man's fears. Nevertheless, it is a convincing one. For an unfortunate victim of the penis-stealing witches tells of climbing a tree, supervised by a helpful witch who instructed him that he might take which he liked out of the nest.
Nice.
In which there were several members.
Dude,
you get to choose your new penis. Yeah.
Listen,
sure,
no one's dick is bad, but if you could go up there, the witch tells you take any dick you want.
Fully satisfactory.
Exactly. These days we got to go down. You got to go down to the Walmart. You got to find a parking space.
I think I'm gonna go for the dick that hooks downwards, like Gonzo's nose.
Interesting. I'm gonna go for the one with the Bluetooth connect.
Nice.
Yeah,
I think
you
that's
connect
solid,
it to a speaker.
I'm going glow in the dark.
Nice.
I want a flashlight for a penis.
Wander through the woods with your pants down, start a new legend, you know?
I assume it's a good selection, 20 to 30 penises to choose from.
Yeah. The tale has an unintentionally comic ending. I mean, it's been pretty funny. Here, look at this. When he tried to take a big one, the witch said, "You must not take that one," adding, "because it belongs to a parish priest."
Nice.
So there you go. The penis stealing witches.
And what a thinly veiled problem that this dude has.
Truly.
With himself.
Yeah. There's also a segment on familiars, which I found pretty interesting. As well as bequeathing the witch's power and sometimes wealth on earth, the devil also chucks some trusty helpers into the bargain, known as familiars. These creatures were demons, sometimes assuming the form of an animal, tasked with doing the witch's bidding. The familiar always works with her in everything. Like the pact ascribing the witch's evil deeds to the familiar, one of the minor demonic legions of hell robs the perpetrator of all agency. Although the term familiar eventually became more popular, Kramer mostly uses incubus and succubus to describe demonic helpmeets.
Yeah, it's more about weird demonic creatures from hell that a witch will entreaty into their service.
I mean, it is kind of a bummer when, like, witches in popular fiction, it's like, and this is my familia, a cat. It's like, really? You couldn't go with a gremlin or something, or like, you know, a cat with like a monkey's body or something. He smokes cigarettes, plays the guitar.
Or
Witch of the West at least had flying ones.
They're flying monkeys.
Does it have to be so small?
You're thinking like an elephant.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, if anything, an elephant. But yeah, like something like a silverback gorilla would be a useful servant.
Sure. A big, terrifying riding dick. One that you can park in like the space of a car.
Yes, I'm talking a 9-foot, 4-foot wide dick that I can, a sedan of a dick, if you will, that I can take me, my lady, and our friends out to dinners at nice places.
That's going to be a lot of corn and oats, man.
It's smart enough to spray paint a wizard on the side of itself.
Fuck yeah. The witches whose confessions provide illustrative examples in the Malleus often speak of their familiars in terms of friendship. When that man used abusive words on me, I was angry and went home, and my familiar began to ask the reason for my ill humor. I told him and begged him to avenge me on the man. The devil went away and afflicted the man even beyond my asking. Malleus Part 2, Question 1, Chapter 11. There is a sense of pathos in these words. Under duress, the woman draws comfort from fantasizing about her imaginary power over a churlish oppressor.
Yeah, I mean, it's all that you probably have as a woman in the Middle Ages is the concept of some sort of freedom from what is probably an awful marriage that you were forced into.
Yeah. The idea that these familiars could take on an animal form led to the persecution of many vulnerable men and women who had made the dreadful mistake of owning pets. So basically, if you had a cat or a dog, somebody would be like, it's made out of penises. It's made of braided wieners. Witch. At the height of the witch panic, anyone seen stroking a beloved pet could be accused of having a familiar and hence being a witch.
That's not fun.
Yeah,
someone who likes pets, man, they're useful. At least it's not dogs, but I'm sure dogs got thrown in there too.
Oh, I'm sure they did. Other commonplace animals such as toads and hares seen hopping around the vicinity of someone's home could also result in the inhabitant being accused of witchcraft. Anything unusual about the animal's appearance, such as color or size, could then be exaggerated without censure in court testimony.
Did you get an animal with the wrong birthmark? You're fucked.
Yeah. Completely hosed.
We noticed there were some toads and lizards around your house because you live in the forest. Sorry, we're going to have to hang you now.
That was your first problem. Of course, the Malleus Maleficarum details the Sabbath, which was kind of the centerpiece of being a witch. Every week, you would go into the woods and have a Sabbath where you would meet the devil and kiss his ass. Literally, that's what they say the witches did in the Malleus Maleficarum. They would go and they would have a black Sabbath in the woods where the devil would show up and they would take turns kissing him on the butthole. That's how they did it.
Again, this is Kramer telling on himself.
Totally. Just the fucking the pervious thing he could think of. He's like, that's what they do. That's what they're doing out there. I know it. I can't stop thinking about it.
I don't want that to happen to me, but if it did,
yeah. They were also accused of having demonic sex. They would summon a demon. It is simply related that demons assumed the form of women and copulated with men and preserved the semen later to impregnate women who had had sex with them in a male form. Not sure what that would achieve, but
like they had a turkey baster.
Right.
Yeah.
And they would use that, but dressed up as a man, like with a mustache.
Right. Kramer's unfamiliarity with sexuality is clear in the accounts. He describes a woman on her way to have sex with her lover who met a devil disguised as a young man. I am the devil, he said, and if you wish, I will always be ready at your pleasure and will not fail you in any necessity. Despite already having a lover and presumably preferring not to be burned alive for eternity, the woman apparently agreed and continued for 18 years up to the end of her life to practice diabolical filthiness with him, according to Malleus Part 2, Question 1, Chapter 1. It is common to all of them to practice carnal copulation with devils, Malleus Part 2, Question 1, Chapter 2, says Kramer, and he has the facts to back this up. The Inquisitor of Como had to burn 41 witches in 1485 alone.
Well, I mean, he had to.
That's like once a week almost.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a lot.
Well, not if you get him out of the way at the beginning of January.
Bear in mind that this statistic preceded the publication of the Malleus and the maelstrom of accusation and paranoia it caused. This was when things were slow.
Damn.
As well as satisfying their lust, witches are said to be bound to indulge in these lewd practices in order that the ranks of their perfidy might be increased through offspring and bragging to other women. Man, he just hates women. Yeah, boy, it's crazy.
The whole thing comes down to, boy, if women are talking to each other about how bad they have it,
this is
going to be a problem.
Those are some witches right there. Look at them talking, getting their hair did. There's a segment on child eating.
Nice.
The most heinous of all crimes alleged to have been committed by witches in the Malleus is undoubtedly eating children.
How so?
In addition,
they're delicious with their little sweet cheeks.
Yeah, come on, human veal. It's fantastic.
I stand with the witch.
In addition to the universal horror of such an act, children are celebrated in Christianity for their purity. I was watching a video on YouTube about witchcraft in general, and when people were like, concocting this shit up, this is the ancient culture war. This is, albeit with much more dire results, but this was definitely like, how like some fucking politician will blame somebody of something disgusting, and it's like, clearly they did that, or even something that's normal that they think is a sin. It'll be like, this was that, very much so. They're sitting around cooking up the grossest shit they can imagine, and then being like, who does that? Witches do it. But I just thought of it just now because I heard that witches do it. And it was very much, they would just take things that were holy or considered like to be a normal part of the culture and flip it upside down. That's why the kissing of the asshole is, because you usually kiss somebody on the lips. Not this time. What's that upside down? The kissing of a butt.
See, I thought it was totally not figurative. I thought he saw someone doing it and was like, no.
I don't think he needed to see it. I think he cooked that one up.
Yeah, it's largely invented. Well, and also a big thing about talking to Satan or summoning demons. At the time, the only people who could read and write were clerics of the church.
Yeah.
So they were actually the only ones doing any sort of these ritualistic things.
Yeah.
And they would blame them on people in the community that they thought they could turn into scapegoats.
Yeah. Children are celebrated in Christianity for their purity. Example, the continuing popularity of Jesus depicted as a baby.
Baby Jesus.
Little baby Jesus.
And you, of course, eat his flesh and drink his blood.
Yeah, where would they get that idea? Herod's massacre of the innocents is seen as particularly lamentable atrocity. To accuse witches of child cannibalism, Kramer was using the most potent weapon in his arsenal. The supposed danger of witches to children was particularly alarming at a time when infant mortality was high, doubtless increasing the Malleus's influence. One convicted witch revealed how they killed and ate children. Most likely somebody who was tortured into confessing something
under severe duress.
Or a cannibal. Who knows?
Yeah, there's plenty of people nowadays that like the long pig.
They love the long pig. And I got to tell you, I disagree with you. I have to disagree with you. Brain, that human whirling disease, that's a thing. You got to watch for that. Prion disease. This is the quote, though. With our spells, we kill them in their cradles, or even when they are sleeping by their parents' side, in such a way that they afterwards are thought to have been overlain or have died some other natural death. I assume overlain means they laid on top of them. Then we secretly take them.
Largely just means rolling over.
Right.
Because you would have one bed in your house with 17 children or whatever.
And children were flat back then.
Yes, not the rotund cuties that we see today in the nurseries.
Little roly-poly children waddling around the streets and schools today.
And it's all going to be laid out when the movie for the 3-Body Problem is released. I don't know if you read that book, but a bunch of people are flat aliens.
Oh, interesting. No, I didn't. Then we secretly take the children from their graves and cook them in a cauldron until the whole flesh comes away from the bones to make a soup which may be easily drunk. Kind of like a turkey carcass after Thanksgiving situation. The rest being used...
They're not making this sound bad to me.
For the flying ointment. A big part of the flying ointment, which we've discussed in the case of the greasy witches, is they make this ointment, they rub it all over their bod, and that's how they fly. It quite often contained psychedelic ingredients, which would make them trip, which was probably also why they believed they were flying. But in the Malleus, they say that ointment is largely made from the grease of bones of children that has been boiled down. Yeah.
Tasty
Kramer
and frightening.
Kramer also reveals a wider conspiracy, of course, amongst women. We must not omit to mention the injuries done to children by witch midwives, first by killing them, and secondly, by blasphemously offering them to devils. Malleus Part 2, Question 1, Chapter 13. Untold numbers of infants were believed to have been killed by midwives in the diocese of Basel at the town of Dan. A witch who was burned confessed that she had killed more than 40 children by sticking a needle through the crowns of their heads and into their brains as they came out from the womb. Yikes.
That eventually becomes a common medical practice. This is just a midwife who knew how to solve the problem of madness in a baby.
Giving them preemptive lobotomies just in case. Now, this is a thing. There's remember there was that woman who was arrested a couple of years ago for like killing people in the hospital. She would put some kind of poison in IV bags, and there have been doctors and medical workers.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of like
who are serial killers.
Yeah, I want to say they're avenging angels is the term, maybe.
Yeah,
those are the good ones. Like Jordan's talking about Tom Dillard Fillmore because the 3 names for a serial killer.
Sure. Yeah.
And who's just like doing it to like get his body count up. And he's all like, oops, doctor, another one's redlining.
Yeah. And it does make you wonder if like, like maybe there was a serial killer who was doing stuff like that, who got lumped in with the witches. And can you imagine being in a line with a bunch of people who are like, we're innocent. We didn't do anything except for Kathy. Man, Kathy definitely did that shit.
She's just like trying not to keep a smile. She's so proud of herself. She's like, Kathy, I didn't do nothing.
Kathy, you ruined this for everyone.
And there's some jackass from the church who's like, I've seen you turn milk sour. What? No. I killed 75 people.
Yes, but the milk. So this is about the prosecution of witches. It is one thing to be fearful of witches, but quite another to be able to find and prosecute them. Kramer dedicates the third part of the Malleus Maleficarum to just this. Despite his lack of success at Innsbruck, prosecution begins with an accusation. Usually hurled across a village square, I imagine.
I mean, kind of like the American justice system as well.
Sure. An accusation. Prosecution begins with an accusation, but Kramer warns this is the full danger of the accuser because the penalty of talion if he fails to prove his case. In practice, however, few false accusers were ever prosecuted for slander, as definitive signs of witchcraft were so nebulous and unsubstantiated that almost anyone could be convicted. The advice is very specific, although Kramer does not allow for, quote, mortal enemies to be called as witnesses for the prosecution. He makes an exception for women, all being naturally vengeful and effectively...
But of course, immortal enemies.
Yes.
As many as you need.
Sure. Effectively legitimizes mob rule when he says that biased witnesses may be used if there is a general consensus of the suspect's guilt. The accused can then be interrogated, having sworn on the 4 Gospels about their life before being asked about the rumors of witchcraft. The alleged witch's house must then be thoroughly searched, sometimes with the accused, who must not be allowed into their own room because they, quote, often bring away with them some object of power or witchcraft which procures them the faculty of keeping silent under examination. Malleus Part 3, Question 8. The suspected witch must be carried on wooden planks to stop them from touching the ground. And the idea there was that that's where the devil lives, is in the ground.
So that's the connectivity, if they touch the ground, they could touch their Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
Just Satan.
Yeah.
If you get into like Gardnerian Wicca, it's very much about being part of the earth and like knowing it, touching it, enjoying the forest.
Yeah. Which
they get a cool branch every once in a while.
Nice.
Put it in your room.
Love a cool branch. I was called to pick up a branch today, but then I remembered that I live in the city. And everything's covered in piss.
Yes. At least pick it up with gloves and then wash it off.
Yes. The inquisitor must then be satisfied that there is a foundation to the accusation, having examined the witness and considered the suspect's defense, and can then proceed to the torture stage.
Oh, I thought interrogation would have came first.
They're kind of one and the same.
Oh.
The torture process defies logic. Common justice demands that a witch should not be condemned to death unless she is convicted by her own confession. Malleus Part 3, Question 13.
Well, Europe had a Patriot Act of their own for a long time.
But if common consensus is against the accused, inquisitors can resort to torture. If the terrible pain is too much for the suspect and they confess, this shows that God is on the side of justice. Whilst torturing the accused, the inquisitor must take precautions. Witches, for example, cannot shed tears, so must be keenly observed. The inquisitor must avoid being touched, lest he be bewitched in this way. The accused must also be shaved, so that magical objects preventing confession cannot be concealed. The torture must also be particularly horrible to each case, giving dangerous license to particularly cruel inquisitors. If the sons of darkness were to become accustomed to one general rule, they would provide means of evading it, as a well-known snare set for their destruction.
That one made me squirm. I have an imagination of medieval torture, and I hate all of it.
Yeah. Well, if you've never been to a torture museum, I guess I sort of recommend it.
Yeah,
but it's what you're imagining. It gets worse.
Yeah. There's a section on execution. You pretty much know what it is. They burned them. Typical burning involved tying the convicted witch to a stake surrounded by bundles of wood and straw, which were set alight. Although inhaling the smoke killed most by suffocation, there were reported cases in which people suffered horrendous injuries and unimaginable suffering before succumbing.
That's actually sort of untrue. Most witches were hung.
Ah, interesting.
Hung or drowned.
Okay.
It was pretty rare that they actually put them to the stake.
Okay. You had to be a particularly important.
I think
witch,
someone
perhaps.
just had to be the most of an asshole that they could be.
Yeah.
To decide that you needed to be burned alive.
The town of Como, at which Kramer says 41 witches were burned in 1485, again burned so many people in 1523 that travelers describe the town appearing as if surrounded by a forest. Once the witch was reduced to ashes, Kramer instructs inquisitors to try members of their family, since covens often comprised relatives. Here it is, actually. In England, witches were hanged rather than burned. And this raises an interesting point. Since witches not only sinned against the church, but destroyed property and murdered people, witch trials were matters for both civil and ecclesiastical courts. Unless guilty of murdering their husbands or attempting to murder the reigning monarch, English witches were hanged as common criminals rather than burned as heretics like many Catholics and Protestants during the horrors of the Reformation and Counter-Reformation, taking much of its law from England. Witches in early America were also hanged rather than burned. So there you go. That's some kind of excerpts of what you might find in the Malleus Maleficarum. It's pretty much just a fucked up book of how to hurt people and how to lie about people being witches so that you can hurt them. It's not cool.
It's a fun piece of history if you like true crime, I guess.
Yeah.
And who doesn't in today's society?
It really is kind of the rantings of a madman about imaginary monsters crawling the world, giving
the
him
man may have seen penises climbing trees.
Yes, exactly. And that does it for my segment. I have smoked from the speaking skull. I now pass it to you, oh noble whomever.
All right. Well, shall we flip for it?
Flip for it. Heads or tails?
Do a backflip.
Nate? Oh, I landed on my butt.
All right.
Tails.
Then I guess it's you.
All right. Well, we're talking about old Phobos the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Martian moon, you might have heard about it. It's small, but weird looking with some other peculiar things about it.
Yeah, small but powerful.
Small but very powerful. We talked last week about what's his name? He's the drunk astronaut who landed on the moon. Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz.
was he a drunk?
Mm-hmm. Self-admittedly, he had a big problem with alcohol.
Sure. Plus his name was Buzz. I mean, come on.
Yeah, he's made public apologies for what he's done. But he also grew up during a weird time, Plus, what do you do that's exciting as land on the fucking moon? I'd become an alcoholic too.
Yeah, you got to party when you get back from the moon.
Yeah, there's not much left for you if you've been off of the planet.
Yeah. I've been to the moon. Here, ate an egg on it, played golf on it. What else can you do
from medium.com by one Grant Piper. I suggest you check out his work on the website. 3 oddities of Phobos that could point to extraterrestrial life.
Okay.
Indeed.
Number 1, a bunch of aliens.
Yeah, just a picture of aliens waving at them. So if you don't know about Phobos, Phobos is a tiny little moon that orbits Mars. It's about 7-ish miles in diameter. It's gets very close to Mars. It says here in the article about 5,500 miles. It gets to the actual planet. In comparison, the moon to Earth, the closest it gets is, I can't speak anymore. Closest it gets is 239,000 miles. So it gets very close to Mars.
Okay.
There's also some very peculiar things we already talked about, such as Buzz Aldrin's clip of the Martian monolith.
Yes.
Here is the quote. He says, Mars, there's a monolith. There's a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe put that there. If you choose God, put it there.
God put it there. Which is exactly what we all heard everyone ask when they heard that quote for the first time.
So the Martian monolith, the Phobos monolith, is it says, very impressive and very strange feature on the Martian moon. 2 varies. That's not too bad. This formation is 279 feet across and 300 feet tall. It is a massive stone cube that sticks out in the flat cratered landscape like a sore thumb, says Grant. Let me share the picture of it for the YouTube fun. And bam, look at that beaut. Look at that beauty. It's kind of has a triangular pattern.
I didn't realize it was that big.
It's huge. It is like skyscraper tall. If I'm not wrong. Now, maybe not skyscraper tall, but it is very tall city building.
30 stories. Like, yeah, that's gigantic.
Pretty cool there. Let me go back to it. There are a few unusual things about this rock. It is nearly a cube. So I was wrong with the shades blocking a shit ton of shape. Second, it's very large. And third, it has a it is very defined in its shape. It does not look lumpy or worn like the other boulders around it, and it is very distinctive. Here's another picture of it. That's the freakiest one for me, like to where it straight up looks like a monolith you'd worship.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you can see the shadow coming off of it. Like, you can tell that it's a giant weird thing that maybe shouldn't be there.
Yeah, it's pretty strange.
So
it's pretty huge.
Some fun a fun fact about this monolith and Mars is that Mars also has one in almost the exact size and shape.
Mars also does?
Mars also has one. Oh, that's weird. The one I just showed you, actually. You're all fooled. You all been bamboozled. You thought it was the Phobos one.
Have we tried to target both of them with a space laser from Machu Picchu?
Say that again, Nate.
Nothing. Don't worry about it. The listeners will hear it. They'll make their own decision.
Nice.
So yes, Mars also has one that is very similar. Theories, boys. The writer Grant says that perhaps they were markers from an ancient spacefaring civilization that passed through our solar system at one point and left these structures all over the place, perhaps even Earth. Where's my ancient alien fans at?
I mean, they might not even be ancient spacefaring peoples. They could just be the original Martians from, I don't know, 1 billion years ago or something.
They got to the moon because it was so close, and they were like, we can basically fly to this shit.
Yeah.
Fair.
Somebody got in a giant slingshot.
Can you imagine being the first Martian to be slingshotted to Phobos?
Look, and like Evel Knievel would have done it.
You're going head first into it, and then gravity on the other moon, takes over, and you flip and you land perfectly on your feet.
Fuck yeah. I mean, the main reason to go to the moon is to do stunts.
Damn straight. What NASA does not show you, and I wish they would, were all the backflips Buzz Aldrin did on the moon. So number 2 is that
not a lot of people know that Buzz Aldrin brought a BMX to the moon.
Yeah, he was shredding gnar burnouts. I don't know, biking stuff.
Yeah, the movie Rad from I think 1983 is based on Buzz Aldrin on the moon.
On the moon. Number 2 is that Phobos was theorized to be hollow. Mainstream theory scientists believed in. Now it's just kind of a fringe theory, but Phobos may be hollow. The renowned Soviet astrophysicist Iosif Shklovsky was famous in his day for his great contributions to the field of astronomy and astrophysics. He produced research on the Crab Nebula, wrote a best-selling book on said nebula, and was good friends with Carl Sagan.
Sure. There were a surprising number of like early, really fantastic Soviet scientists.
They kicked our butt as Americans if you were put it on the team. They went to Venus, just like, we're just going to send something to Venus and send some photos back to us as well. No big thing.
Yeah, they did it a couple times, knowing that their vehicle was going to be destroyed as soon as it got there.
Yeah, we've been to other planets already. Well, like way before Mars. Soviets did some crazy stuff. Also, some bad stuff, but also America did too. Basically, no king is not a war criminal. Anyway, he reached his conclusions. This is Sklovsky. He reached his conclusion while studying the orbital physics of the moon. It is well known that Phobos is on a slow death spiral, which is eventually going to bring it crashing into the Martian surface. Estimates put this event occurring in about 40 million years, which is actually, says Grant, quite fast on a galactic scale.
Amen.
I believe the moon is also on a ejection orbit with Earth in about the same amount of time.
I thought it moved like 1 inch closer every few hundred years.
An injection course.
It actually moves farther away. I wrote a number of jokes on this. I was worried about the werewolves. We'll have none soon. In 40-ish million years.
I mean, unless the moon has a geostatic orbit that keeps it full all the time over, let's just say, America.
Fair. If you have any answer on this topic, write it in the comments of the video.
Comment at us. For the love of God, say something.
So, in order for this, I think, agreed upon orbit to be correct, the moon must have very little mass, and in fact, Phobos is one of the least massive objects in the solar system.
Oh boy, always showing it off. We can't all look like the moons in the magazines, okay, Roger?
Sklovsky theorized that perhaps Phobos was artificial in nature.
Oh.
This, of course, leads various theories once he starts publicizing these thoughts that it is an artificial satellite of a Martian civilization, perhaps even spacecraft from an intergalactic civilization that got caught in orbit, kind of like Oumuamua from Avi Loeb's theories. Go on.
Is it cake? Could it be cake? And what we're seeing that we think is an obelisk is actually a candle.
You think that Mars is finally turning one?
Yes, I think that it's some extra dimensional space being's first birthday. But as we know, 40 million years is a short time in space. So, that.
This person might be Galactus for all we know.
Yeah. So there is some truth to this theory. According to recent researchers, in 2015, it is suggested that Phobos is sort of a rubble pile being held together with a very thin outer crust. One of the leaders of the study researching Phobos, an Eric Asfog, said, the funny thing about the results is that it shows Phobos has a kind of mildly cohesive outer fabric. This makes sense when you think about powdery materials and microgravity, but it's not quite intuitive.
All right, so at the risk of going back to a well, perhaps it's not cake. This sounds more like a bad casserole.
Which, honestly, what is a worse casserole than cake?
And the third thing that we'll wrap up on, which isn't really, I believe, so much evidence of aliens or anything like that, but is very unusual, is that Phobos has very large grooves on the surface.
Same.
Like, like all over. Here's an image for us to look at. This is kind of Phobos stretched out and spread across a square map, if you will.
I was joking before, but this does look like my torso.
DJ Phobos dropping on the ones and twos.
It's got a lot of weird grooves on there.
That does look weird because it doesn't have there's no real climate on Phobos, right?
There's some weird shit going on. It flies really close to a planet, so I can only imagine what sort of weird, perhaps, winds get built up on that close pass. You know, if such things do. If you know, please comment at us.
Please.
Yeah, we would like to finally reach out to someone with a scientific background instead of anyone who just saw a ghost.
So Phobos sports,
although we want your call as well.
Phobos sports strange grooves that run along its surface in long parallel lines. These grooves were spotted in the 1970s on the Viking missions and have since been the subject of many hypotheses and debates. Even people are debating this.
Groove Viking,
well,
got it.
Yeah, no, it definitely. It seems weird that we would have sent Vikings first, but
Vikings, get out there! We've spotted some grooves.
So, knowing what we know of Phobos, it's kind of a casserole, saucy inside, crusty outside.
Again,
many
same
ideas of causes have been asteroid impacts, tidal stresses of all the sauce, and rolling boulders, but nothing has been truly peer-reviewed and concluded.
Got it.
The research
many TikTok bakers are claiming that they actually did this.
All that we know is that not a lot of other moons have these geological formations.
Interesting.
It seems to only be Phobos.
Okay.
The writer, Grant Piper, goes on to say that perhaps they are leftover scars from ancient equipment rumbling all over the surface. Perhaps, like gigantic mining drills getting that soft, gooey core of Phobos, but rattling the crust, kind of like what can happen in the Arctic and shit when they're doing weird, I don't know, fishing.
Sure.
Oiling.
Oil fishing.
Probably fishing.
All of it.
But that's my segment. 3 ways I love you, Phobos.
Excellent segment.
There's more in here as well, but I would like you to go to medium.com and check out Grant Piper's work. Support him because we just read his beautiful words.
Yeah.
And geez, I can't speak. I should have ate more than just hot dogs at the museum. I got all that nitrate in me. I'm going to finish my hit from the speaking skull.
Nice.
And then blow that smoke in your direction, Nate, as I pass it to you.
Yes, let's shotgun that skull juice.
Hey, I found a Belize quarter.
Hey, all right. Time to spend some money in Belize.
and if this website would come up. All right.
Yes.
So, all right, never mind. I'm going to have to read from a different website. But
it happens.
I have everything from this Rolling Stone article about. You guys know about Auntie Coolette from TikTok? The People's Prophet?
No. I'm fucking instantly intrigued, though.
You're about to.
Hell yeah.
First of all, her name is not Coolette. It's Colette Reynolds. But she goes by Coolette, because it's cool.
It's cool.
She went with a pun. Anyway, this Rolling Stone article, and I won't you disparage a pun. I love them the most, but this one's pretty bad. This is from January 17th of this year. This Nevada realtor became one of TikTok's biggest conspiracy theorists. Colette Reynolds, a.k.a. Auntie Coolette, commands an audience of millions with videos about demon attacks and interdimensional portals.
I love it.
Yeah.
And this is actually going to tie back into some news from a few weeks ago.
Okay.
What doesn't? We're decent at paranormal news reporting.
Round and round we go, folks.
Nominate us for the Streamies.
Give us a Streamy.
Yeah.
Best paranormal news podcast.
And best bikini bods.
No, give us time for that. We all need to work out a little bit.
Mine's not
get more junk definition for the bikini bottom.
Bikini bottom.
We can always fake that. We can use an AI generator to give us fun bikini
well-defined
bodies.
Junk.
Yeah.
Get a 6-pack.
Or
we could just back on the dick.
On the dick. A dick.
We can call any witch, and they'll give us the location of one of those nest pricks.
Ah, yes, those dick nests that you hear about.
Anyway, this thing opens up with the following quote. I believe wholeheartedly that I captured that night an angel on film, Colette said in a recent TikTok shared with her 2.2 million followers.
Boy, what a sentence.
Behind her was a photograph of a tree at night with a gauzy white shape visible on a branch. Reynolds, a professional-looking woman with glasses and curled blonde hair, you can see her behind me if you're on the YouTube there, in a black turtleneck sweater, identified it as a seraphim, the highest order of angel in Christendom. She had taken the picture years ago, she said, at a low point in her life, explaining that this angel had visited her, quote, in a moment when I needed one most.
All right.
I'm not going to believe it, but she gets crazier. Reynolds has since become an internet celebrity thanks to such videos about religious and supernatural experiences. She claims in both her TikToks and an interview with Rolling Stone, which is the one that I'm reading. I don't know why you would be self-referential in that way, but whatever. To be psychic, clairvoyant, and a genius. Traits that she calls gifts from the Holy Spirit.
Oh boy.
She also likes to expound on a dizzying array of conspiracy theories. That combination has made her a focal point of what's been termed conspirituality, a growing subculture where New Age pseudoscience and religious thinking overlaps with paranoia about nefarious actors within government and other institutions.
Oh boy.
I'm at her TikTok now. She has a GoFundMe.
Oh, well, that's actually a little bit old because she had a bunch of really serious medical issues.
Okay. Well, I hope she's feeling better.
Before she is now, for sure. But she did have to reach out to a bunch of people to try and deal with that. It was like just before COVID. And like the weird thing about her TikTok is there actually is a lot of stuff that she does that isn't crazy. It's like about self-actualization and positivity.
Sure.
Things that I can overwhelmingly agree with.
I also found this one video said the other night I had 3 visions, ... Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's also that. I watched one the other day. The Simpsons have done it again. And it was about how Mr. Burns was based on J.D. Rockefeller. And Matt Groening may have been a time traveler who was using his knowledge of the past from having been there to create an incredibly subversive show. Again, you're not going to believe it, but it took exactly one comment for somebody to get anti-Semitic about believing that it was based on a Rothschild.
That didn't take long, huh?
Here's another one. Could Elon Musk AI robots be the 4th beast in Daniel 7?
Yep. And the book of Joel is going to come up a whole bunch.
Okay. Who's Joel?
That's the thing.
He's the guy
You've
from
never heard of the book of Joel.
Never, if you can believe it.
Yeah, a lot of really wild stuff is something that I'm going to skip over almost entirely just through this article because there's way too much of it. But anyway, yeah, getting back to that. Watching Reynolds' videos, you can see why she's a popular one-stop shop for such disquieting views. Rather than deliver her material in the raving, fear-mongering style of a character like Alex Jones, she initially comes across as nothing more threatening than an excitable, quirky mom who wants to spread love and light. Which is true. That's how she started. It seems, however, that the peculiarities of the app's algorithm have led her to produce an endless stream of potentially radicalizing misinformation. And her influence is expanding. Recently, Reynolds' content has been picked up by prominent right-wing influencers, including Dan Bongino, who I thought wasn't an influencer anymore.
Nah, he's still influencing kids out there. All the kids on the streets, when I'm selling them pot, they're all like, dude, have you seen Bongino?
Oh, have you seen Bong?
Daddy Gino is what Bong Gino is what they call him.
Who apparently during a live stream shared a portion of Reynolds' TikTok discussing the input Barack and Michelle Obama had as executive producers of Leave the World Behind. Yeah. She also got a boost from Matt Walsh, who, if you don't know, is a crazy person who's extremely famous for asking the question, what is a woman?
He's confused.
Well, he thinks you're confused.
Nah, I know. Whatever. You don't want my rules on gender. They're crazy, man. All right. I play space games. Well, I think you can have sex with whatever you want, man. Whatever gets that up, no shame.
Outback style, no rules, just right.
You want to be a blue alien? There's a DNA augmentation device that will get that. Don't worry about it.
Get that taken care of. Get that taken care of post haste.
And this is where we're going to get into a little bit of the news that we reported on a little bit ago.
Okay.
Matt Walsh apparently commented sarcastically on Reynolds' viral claim that mysterious quote-unquote creatures had caused a disturbance at a Miami mall on New Year's Day.
Nice.
Which you remember,
of
for
course,
sure.
How could I forget?
As those 4 people walking next to each other.
What a New Year's it was.
They were cops.
Well, not according to Coolette Reynolds.
All right, bring
she
it
later
on.
specified that these supposed entities were demonic Nephilim or giant fallen angels. And she has talked about the Nephilim a lot.
More than us?
Somehow more than us.
What?
Reynolds' interpretation of the Miami event is no less alarming or matter of fact when she brings it up in conversation. Quote, CERN is trying to open a portal to a demonic entity dimension.
Nice.
She told Rolling Stone.
How can you do that, CERN?
I don't. How couldn't you?
CERN.
I'm there polling. I guess pressing the CERN button. They're done with levers and stuff. You know, you're hitting the button. you're telling the portal machine to activate. Like, fuck yeah, I'm here with my doom gun just in case, and I haven't used it yet, and I'm looking to kill myself a Dune demon. I'm opening any portal. And that's why I wasn't hired at CERN.
If you have access keep opening to portals, might as well. The quote continues, and there were kids in that Miami mall that apparently opened a portal. So it wasn't even CERN. It was those kids that allowed these 8 to 10 foot tall creatures. There were multiple witnesses that said this. I think that these demons are starting to get into our world to prepare, and they know that their time's running out and it's getting closer and closer. End quote. And if you manage to find her TikTok video about this, she talks about the kids freaking out and going pew, pew, pew with some sort of weird guns, possibly real guns, things that were not ever reported on.
Things that make you go,
Things that make you go pew. Pew, 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 pew at a 10-foot tall demon that you accidentally summoned into this Miami mall. Several years ago, Reynolds hardly imagined herself a social media star, let alone a platform with a user base as young as TikTok's. The 47-year-old mother has a realty business in Elko, Nevada. She is a realtor.
Of course.
Which
every crazy person, both good and bad, is a realtor in Vegas.
I mean, she's outside of Vegas, but close enough.
Like a Nevada real estate person. Neil Breen, Derek Savage, this lady, they're all real estate developers in the Nevada areas.
It seems to be a thing. Anyway, she was born and raised in Elko. She also has a welding company and a local pub that she owns with her husband, Mike.
Oh, that's weirdly adorable.
I mean, yeah, like they seem like a pretty nice couple. You don't really see Mike very often. I think he is probably a reasonable person. Maybe not, though. He might be a fucking psycho.
I'm sure they're both pretty right-leaning MAGA funds.
Yeah, absolutely. And she does try to avoid talking about actual politics. But soon as
try as she might,
as soon as Biden won in 2020, she was asking a lot of weird questions about things that were going on that might be related to Joe Biden actually being possibly the Antichrist.
Joe Biden?
Yeah,
that's right.
It's like Jesus, but upside down and backwards.
Right. Yeah.
And he says goodbye instead of hello.
It's why Hunter Biden spells his name. The T is an upside down cross.
Yeah. In case you've ever wondered about that.
Yeah, that's legal. That's legally his name.
Tricky. It's tricky, but we saw right through it.
She only downloaded the app because at a professional retreat in 2010, real estate coach, don't even know what that job is, Tom Ferry, told her and other attendees to start using it as a marketing tool. It would be another 2 years before she actually gave a spin to TikTok, which is in the end of the medical issues that she was having. Alone on a trip to Ohio in April 2020, the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic for surgery, she says she was scared and began randomly scrolling TikTok for comfort. So I think she was in the hospital and just didn't have any other outlet. And that's, the time that everybody decided to go insane.
Fuck yeah, the pandemic. We all did weird stuff in the pandemic, man.
We surely did.
A mayonnaise milkshake.
I caused COVID-18.
The easily curable prequel.
Quote, it got me through all of that, Reynolds says. It was really neat. I wasn't making videos yet. I was too scared. But then I came back home and something just told me you need to start sharing your incredible stories of survival. So lots of my health stuff is the reason I started on this, actually. That's the only reason I started on the app. And to her credit, she never did actually use it for her realty practice.
Okay.
No, she never did. I'm at the very first one, and there might be like...
She just wanted people to understand that you can get through things and just be positive, and
sure.
And
it
then
goes weirder.
Yeah, and fast too. Let me count here real quick. I got 3, 11, 15 videos in. We start going, and there it is. The mark of the beast reveal. Do not take the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Reynolds found that her messages of support and inspiration against the odds resonated with her steadily growing audience, which soon numbered in the tens of thousands.
Okay.
Well, but it was a different route. It was a different
ass.
Oh yeah, no. We could absolutely, if she wants to start supporting Werewolf Radar, we welcome her.
Should we do what she does, but Werewolf Radar style?
Do we just fucking heel turn right out the door and be like, "Hey guys, Antichrist much?" and just get fucking 10,000 followers and then flip it on them? Juggalo style.
First of all, should we make that new catchphrase? Antichrist much?
Or Juggalo style. We can take that from them.
Juggalo Christ, anyone?
Crestalo. He's back and he's clowning. In the summer of 2021, she recorded herself waxing her face while listing, quote, things I wish I knew when I was 20. So this is one of her big things. One example, if he won't let you look at his phone, he's cheating.
Okay.
Which
straight up.
I mean, not
I don't
true.
let my lady look
People
at my phone at all.
No, nobody lets anyone look at their phone.
It's because we're cheating on each other.
With each other.
With each other.
And this is fantastic. During this video, which has now been viewed millions of times, she also alluded to a conspiracy theory. Quote, Biggie and Tupac aren't dead, yo.
Oh, whoa, yo.
End quote.
She speak just like us, for real.
People were especially intrigued by the throwaway reference to the slain rappers, Reynolds says, which helped her realize she could share some of her more unexpected beliefs and aspects of herself that she didn't ordinarily share outside her friends and family.
Damn.
Then where are they?
Spaceman.
Space. 100%. They were taken from this earth. They're probably on Phobos. They're probably in the middle of it.
They're in the sewers fighting the Foot Clan.
Mm-hmm.
Transformed by the nuke of the nuclear goop.
She was also suddenly fielding demand for more elder wisdom from younger viewers, which I really hate that. These kids just turned to me, and really quickly, she says. The result was that Reynolds embraced a social media role as Cool Auntie, changing her handle to Auntie Coolette. Doling out a mixture of life advice and spiritualist commentary, often while doing her makeup.
Oh boy.
Yeah, she's one of them. She does the makeup tutorial and then like talks about for 9 minutes too. Her TikToks are long. I was trying to find a short one to play for us. There is not one.
They're all extremely long.
The worst part about this is I'm going to check it out.
Dude, check it out. I got the link right now. I'll drop it in the Discord.
No,
I think you should, because it is wild.
Oh, God.
A video from December 2021 is typical of this transition. Captioned, quote, and this is in all caps, Things I Wish I Knew Superstition Edition Part 2.
Okay.
End quote. It begins with Reynolds saying, a glass of water on your nightstand to absorb any negative energy, frighten away evil spirits, and ensure that you don't have nightmares.
And drink if you're thirsty.
Well, I mean, then you're going to start getting all that negative energy.
Yeah.
She also tells her audience, quote, always keep a window open at a funeral so that the spirit knows how to escape and go to heaven. Now, here's the thing that I want you to find if you can. All of her Halloween superstitions from, I believe, this same year. Because did you know that you shouldn't have a knife available for a spirit to fall on during Halloween? Turns out, yeah, you shouldn't.
Well, what am I supposed to do with all these knives?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
You're going to have to get rid of them. Look, I don't have the answers. Auntie Coolette does.
Auntie Coolette, tell me.
Since then, Reynolds has progressed into hardcore conspiracism, what she calls, quote, critical thinking, and amassed a huge following for it. There is virtually no fringe theory you might name that she hasn't at least explored. In the course of this interview, she claims that the moon landing is fake, that we can't go into space because the firmament is an impenetrable dome, that there is a huge landmass beyond the South Pole, an idea connected to flat Earth, which she's also endorsed, that the murals, and this one's close to my heart, the murals at the Denver International Airport contain clues to a coming, quote, great reset carried out by a, quote, new world order, that Nephilim are working in underground bases for the U.S. government, that recently unsealed court documents related to Jeffrey Epstein are an attempt by those in power to distract us from something bigger, that mermaids are demons, again close to my heart, and that the Bible contains references to aliens, dragons, and UFOs.
Good Lord. All that, huh?
She rattles off these outlandish ideas while occasionally apologizing for feeling frazzled from lack of sleep because she's caring for Andrea, her best friend of 25 years, who has terminal cancer, and for whom she's raised thousands of dollars from her followers.
In an email, to go to sleep.
She does, dude. Dude, she does. And these are long videos. These are like 2 to 10 minute, sometimes more videos.
Yeah, no,
she does like five plus a day.
Yeah. Yeah, she is she's on overdrive.
Good Lord.
In an email several days after this interview, Reynolds did share the news that Andrea, quote, went to heaven last night peacefully.
Oh.
So she could now go to sleep.
Oh.
But she isn't.
Oh, God.
She drank a cup of coffee at 5 and she's ready to keep going.
In all her clairvoyant visions, Reynolds' unifying theme is how religious truths allegedly undergirding our reality have finally come to light, despite the efforts of the shadowy elites, including the Vatican and the Illuminati, to cover them up. Both of them.
Working together.
And maybe more. Wow. I mean, this could be Skull and Bones working with, I don't know, Reed Richards. We have no idea.
The whole squad.
A favorite source of her theology is the Book of Enoch, an apocalyptic text originally written in Hebrew or Aramaic that's not canonical to Jewish or Christian scripture.
Okay.
And this is, I think, also where the Book of Joel kind of comes in. Along the path to this message, Reynolds has also taken on the role of seer and prophet, conducting live streams in which she offered to contact the spirits of viewers' deceased loved ones and offering prognostications. She is a straight up con artist.
Joel is so funny.
I think
the idea of like, and this is my newest disciple, Joel.
He's just there, 2 thumbs up.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Joel. Thanks for inviting me.
My name's just Joel, regular Joel.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there is a book of Joel in the Old Testament, but I think it's like 2.5 pages long, if it's even included.
Mm-hmm.
I don't got a lot to say, but, you know, God's cool. It's me, Joel. I'm here to talk about safety procedures. When you go to heaven, please keep your arms and legs within the rainbow.
There will not be a rail.
Yeah.
You might fall over.
Now you're going to find that on that gate where you would normally see a lock, there's just going to be a little piece of metal that somebody has labeled "Do Not Open." You can take that right off. It does help her brand that in June of 2023, she went viral for a decidedly biblical reason. And this is kind of insane, documenting a plague-level infestation of thousands of Mormon crickets that are not
Good Lord.
Mormon, but that are called Mormon crickets, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I know what those are.
I've kind of assumed that they followed the temple's teaching. But in cricket form, so it's more adorable.
So there was a whole crazy thing in Nevada where all these crickets descended, and like you can watch that video too. It looks horrific. You think arachnophobia is scary? These Mormon crickets, way worse.
I have it turned off on Lethal Company.
Oh,
I mean, turned on. I'm not ready for it.
Because no spiders, please.
No spiders, please.
She goes on to talk about how she, quote, loved doing the advice. She says, when reflecting on the evolution of her TikTok account, I loved that I could touch people and help them learn. Unfortunately, TikTok just wanted more from me on different things. I was, we could say, gently nudged by the views I was getting or something. You could say it's interesting how TikTok helps creators grow in different directions. Fucking crazy ass conspiracy directions. She claims that when she started acting as a medium and explaining her favorite conspiracy theories, she was rewarded with higher engagement. Meanwhile, interest in her less provocative content fell off. It was clear what her followers wanted. Quote, suddenly they stopped sharing my advice videos as much, and I noticed that they were more privy to share my supernatural stuff.
Oh boy.
Reynolds has a tendency to fold big names and organizations into her pronouncements. She's wondered if Elon Musk would usher in the end of days with AI tech.
Yeah.
She's suspicious of Mark Zuckerberg's Hawaiian bunker.
Who isn't?
And subscribes to the debunked notion that the Smithsonian Institute destroyed skeletal evidence of giants.
They did.
Which we of course know happened.
Mm-hmm.
She's just copying Werewolf Radar. What it seems like is she's just listening to episodes of Werewolf Radar and repeating what we say.
I agree. She did,
but
start
in a cool
much later
ant
than we did.
style.
That could be one reason she's taken to adding upfront disclaimers that her content is, quote, for entertainment purposes only. Still, this is more of a secret code than a caveat. They'll flag it for misinformation and give you a community guideline violation, Reynolds says of TikTok moderators. So you really do have to be kind of careful. That's why I always say we're just goofing around. And it just means, yeah, I'm actually very serious about this.
I hate her.
So too are her viewers. The millions of views on her videos about the Miami Mall incident and Leave the World Behind demonstrate that Reynolds' ability to break out of her corner of TikTok and into the mainstream is only increasing. While the occasional skeptic or non-believer can brush off Reynolds' proclamation as nonsense, plenty of people take them at face value, either agreeing with a patently untrue premise or attempting to put their own spin on it. In a clip from earlier this month, Reynolds begins with a claim that, quote, I, just like so many other people, have not really dreamt since 2020.
What?
She's not dreamt. I don't know what that means necessarily.
The thing?
The comments echo this alarming but somewhat vague assumption. One user writes, nope, I don't anymore, while another says, I really miss dreams.
Wow, I dream all the time.
I think most of us do.
That shit's wild.
I don't.
Well, I mean, You can stop your dreams if you need to.
Yeah, you just call that number.
Exactly. 1-888 no more dream.
No dream. Dream be gone.
The Monstroco brand, Dream Be Gone. The net impact of this messaging is impossible to ascertain. Reynolds isn't directly advocating for any kind of dangerous or extremist accent, although she definitely does. At the same time, her vision of a holy war transpiring behind the veil of reality has parallels in overtly far-right conspiracist movements like QAnon, and many of the ideas she espouses could start somewhere down a rabbit hole leading towards radicalization. I guarantee you that even though she never talked about January 6th, she was right there saying, this is what needs to happen.
Oh, yeah. She was like, this is 1776.
Yeah.
Let's get them giant bones.
I want the bones.
The only reason she wasn't in trouble with the J6 cases is because she was at the Smithsonian trying to get them bones.
Trying to get them bones.
You know, I mean, like, she got the text saying, look, we're going to go to the White House. I guess it wasn't the White House. We're going to go to Congress.
Yeah.
But she had a different plan. A more
different plan. And I respect her plan. I should have been there too, trying to get the bones.
When she finds those bones, she proves God is real.
We want,
and that changes everything.
We want the bones.
Now all you unbelievers will be converted.
Those are God's bones, man.
What's your end game with that? Like, are you just trying to be like, your God's wrong? I have the bones of a giant.
I think soup.
Oh, it's less malicious than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Big soup. The biggest soups. Well, and this sort of comes close to answering that particular question. She is quite aware, with such a massive audience, of how she might be negatively characterized by those who disagree with her, and that while TikTok freed her to be herself, she's walking a delicate line. Quote, "It's hard to be the conspiracy queen." End quote.
Seems hard.
Does it? You're doing 6 videos a day.
Yeah, you're getting that TikTok money, lady.
And I'm just saying, you know, the end game here is continuing to be the conspiracy queen.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's Coolette Reynolds.
There you have it.
Person of note on the internet.
I love it. There's so many people of note, and you forget about the crazy ones.
If you're lucky. Folks, that has been another episode of Werewolf Radar. Boy, there's some weird shit on the radar this week. We're glad that you were able to join us. Sorry the episode is a little late. Roger started talking about I think it was Shaq.
It was Shaq's rap album and his new recent album.
They pulled the Shaq squad came down on him.
If you're a fan of the new Kendrick album, you will like the new Shaq album. Was the point of that long thing I'm not going to repeat because I think the dark forces don't want that getting out.
What if you just went Link Dead again right now?
Shaq's bones will be in the Smithsonian next to the Giants event.
Shout out
he does not want us taking them out of his body first.
Coming and kicking it in the Zoom room.
Paranoid Cryptid, you were there too.
We love you. Paranoid Cryptid was there.
Spooky Appalachia. You
check
came
out
in later.
Spooky Appalachia. Spooky Appalachia has a video up about a UFO that they saw and filmed. Which is pretty friggin' cool. Check it out on YouTube.
It's in the Discord.
The rest of you, thank you so much for your continued support of the show. If you really like what we did, get over to Patreon, become a Patreon member. You'll get an extra episode most weeks. And check us out on Twitch. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out anywhere that the internet happens. Shout out to Chuck from Snappy Little Numbers for our intro and outro.
Speaking of that as well, patron shout out. We missed it.
Shit.
We missed it at the end of January, so let's go through it. Nick Bailey, Spooky, Appalachia, Phil Corridor, Michael King, Melinda Metz, new Dark Council member, Janet Bravo, Dylan Gutierrez, Bob Ryan, AWOL51, Amanda, Tobias Livingston, the most well-prepared dead guy, Marcelo Duran, Elliot Broder, Alicia Coy, Cheesebot, O'Doom, Abby Kabloo, Abby Club Boo, Ryan Flint, Jake Specht, Akurian Soldier, Dean Malik, Dakota Vincent, Brian Ely, Adra Kinkle, Egon and Felix, and our Dark Lord of the Bunker, Spectacular Copper. We got new merch designed by Jordan getting to you. If you pledge for 3 months at the highest level, you get art. You get sticker, you get a mug, you get, I think, a poster now as well, plus a t-shirt, all sorts of new merch and art designed by Jordan himself. Thank you, Jordan.
That's me.
And if you pledge for eternity, you get something of our choice that you're gonna like and then not like, but then like again.
So thank you for supporting it. Your patronage goes to supporting the radar, allowing us to get video games every once in a while, plus new equipment, all sorts of random stuff. Maybe one day ghost hunting equipment. If we do this full time, if we get enough to do this full time, the three of us, which is a lot of money, but let's have fun. If we get that much, let's go on a real ghost hunt, the three of us.
We will go on a ghost hunt inside of the head of the Statue of Liberty, which everybody knows is haunted from Ghostbusters 2.
She loves to dance, and we're going to make her do it. Here's a weird little aside, an addendum to Coolette Reynolds. She uses an EVP thing.
Electronic
pretty
voice
constantly
projection.
Well, yeah, but that's not really what it is. I think it's just a tape recorder that she touches record on.
Weird.
And you'll see that in her videos once you start going down what I guess I have to recommend is a good rabbit hole, but it's weird and bad.
But you also get to see Molly, her dog.
True.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Leave on a
her dog knew what a bad person she was. Until next time, folks. As always, on the count of 3, our sign-off line: 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky, Spaceman Joe. What was it? Punch the wall, Stepdad Joe.